We're going to do a quick review and overview of the traction table. And I'm going to be on this side, but just so that you know, all of the controls are exactly the same on either side. So we'll start first of all, except for the foot pedal. So I lied about that. We have the foot pedal that makes the table go up and down. So you need to be aware of that. You need to be really cautious when you move the tables, because if the table pinches the cord, it's going to stop it from going up and down, and it may damage the cord. So you need to be really careful when you're moving the traction table. Down at this end, we've got a switch that's under the edge here on the corner, and if we pull that, that will allow the bottom to come up or down. So if I want to have some person sit on here, I can put this bottom up, and then I have to pull the switch again to push down. A little bit of a hydraulic there. The circle here, the handle pulls out, and what this does is it will take this pelvic section to roll up or down, and this may be used, maybe I use someone for positional traction, or I want to do a specific mobilization that I have to put someone in this position, and so that's what could be possibly used for that. The next section is an important one, the next knob. It's how we open and close the table, or lock it, I should say, lock and unlock the table. So by putting it, and it depends on what side you're on, counterclockwise or clockwise, there is an arrow that says unlock or lock. I can unlock the table, which I need to do when I'm doing pelvic traction. Of course, anytime anyone's getting on or off the table, you want to make sure that the table is locked. Our next switches say chest and head, and the next one says arms. So again, if I lift up on this switch for the chest and head, this will pull it up into this direction, so I can pull it up, pull my switch up, and it actually goes all the way back down and just goes flat. It will not go into farther into reverse. And the same thing goes then for the arms, which right now they're a little bit stuck on the head here. So the arms will also go up and down, and these will go a little bit farther into that negative position, which the head should go down as well now. So if you're going to put someone in a prone position and they're much more comfortable being in that declined position, that you are able to do so. We're going to place the lumbar traction belts at this point in time. So the first one we have is the thoracic belt, and you can see that it angles down, kind of curves in this direction. We have the hook up here. If we come up in between the face area here, there is a slot, and we're going to slide this hook into that slot and make sure that it is in completely. And we're going to spread out and flatten out our thoracic. And then we're going to take our pelvic belt, and we have to make sure that we are definitely overlapping with these belts. You want the pelvic belt on top because you're going to actually put the pelvic belt on first, and so we want that on top. Make sure that you've got the belt lying out, that it's not trapped up underneath, so by the time you put someone on there, you have to get that to come out. And then also our tail here, which we're going to come up and hook up into the belt once we put it on the patient. So you can see we're actually a little high here. The problem is with this thoracic region is that we can't adjust it. And so if you have someone who's really short-waisted, because really you want that lumbar spine to be right about where this opening is, because that's going to help direct the force there as well. And so you want to make sure that we definitely are going to get some overlap with these belts when we put them on. But we do want to place the person so that their lumbar spine, the area we're working on, is right about in that area of the opening. but that as we put the belt on, that we will be able to catch the top of the iliac crest to make sure that we have that in the proper position, and that's what's going to grab a hold and make sure that we can get our traction. The other thing here, of course, is once we do hook up as well, is we're going to slide this through here. This is how we're going to close that extra belt down there, and then this, we want to make sure that this ring is in the middle, because that's where we're going to hook the bottom up to, so that it comes up into proper position. Here we are, we're going to be placing the cervical traction unit so that we can prepare for performing cervical traction. So one of the key points that I want to remind you about is the knobs that are here that will help and pull on the occiput. These are very sensitive, so it doesn't matter which side you pull. One direction is going to open, one direction is going to close. Once you get to the very end, you can still continue to twirl this knob. It just becomes stiff. Please don't do that, because what's happening is you are forcing the tabs back here to go beyond where they're supposed to go. So if things are not going well, if they're a little tight instead of loose, do not continue to crank them. You probably want to take a second before you have your patient lie down and make sure that you know which direction you need to turn the knob in order to have this open and close, okay? Because we don't want to damage the cervical traction units any more than what they have been. So we want to make sure that we open the traction unit all the way before we lie down. All right, remember at the top, you really need the unit angled like this with the head part here. You don't want to have it up like this. It will not fit. I mean, you'll get it to fit, but then the bottom part will be up like that. So you want to make sure that this unit is up all the way. So we're going to slide it in. We've got the two slots here where this slides in and you can lift up. And we want to make sure definitely that it snaps in all the way. If you don't get this snapped in all the way and you only have one side in or not, when it starts to pull, it could loosen up. So once you get that in there, just give it a little tug, make sure that it's in securely. The other thing you want to do is, of course, put a towel on or something for hygiene's sake. You can unhook this, or you can just have it up and then slide this over the patient's forehead. It is a real stiff, so it's a little bit easier to turn it off like that. When we go to take the cervical unit out, all we have to do is pull up and then gently pull out. When using the rope release, remember that we want to press it down. When you press it, you'll hear a click, and you'll know that you are then able to very easily move the rope. When you get the rope to where you want it to go, you just let go and you'll hear the click, and it will not move. Be very, very, very careful, because when you press this button, if you're not hanging onto it, it's going to recoil very quickly, and you've got this clip at the end, and it could hit you, it could hit the patient, it could hit the equipment. So always, always, always make sure that you've got the rope. Even if I've pulled it out too far and I clip it in and I've got this much here, don't just press the rope release and have it recoil quickly. You want to make sure I've got a hold of the rope here, press my rope release very gently, let it recoil back into the unit, and then let go when I've got it where it needs to go.